everyone! Today it is a Westman Atelier kind of day. I have liquids or creams versus powders. Now, it's not a apples to apples comparison because I don't have the exact same shades in the powders versus the creams, but I think I got very close. And I can say, if you just look at my face right now, you can tell pretty quickly which side is cream, which side is powder. I think it's pretty obvious. However, I would also say that the shades are actually quite similar, even though I couldn't do shade per shade. I think there's the differences you're gonna see really, really quickly, but I wanna call out the fact that overall, Westman is a clean beauty, high quality ingredient, elevated, elegant look makeup brand. So if you're looking for something that is easy to use, is basically the color stories are a little bit more subdued. They're not duochromes or, you know, electric blue eyeliners. It's more of that everyday makeup look, but it's also a clean brand. It has, in my opinion, very high quality ingredients. I think the products work extremely well for more mature skin, but I think they work for pretty much everyone. And the powders and the creams work for both regular, average, whatever you want to call it, skin, more dry skin, dehydrated skin, and oily skin. But I think that's where the difference starts to lie in the cream versus the powder. So let's get into it. First, on this side of my face, I did use the Westman Atelier drops. And these drops, in my opinion, only work for somebody who has very dry, very dehydrated skin. It is too emollient for me. It never dries down in a way that I really like. It's not like the Lisa Eldridge skin tint where it's just very, very light and emollient, but then it dries into your skin. This one stays emollient on my skin. But if you have very dry skin and it's something that you really, have a problem with, I think these drops would be great for you. They also offer practically no coverage. It's really more of a emollient, a little bit of a glass skin kind of look. And it does give a little bit of coverage, but very little. I wear it in 0.5. I think that's the right shade for me. On this side, I decided to use the Prada foundation because I don't have a Westman powder or semi-matte foundation because she doesn't have one. And the Prada one was, I think, the best to use because I didn't want to use a powder foundation. A powder foundation, like a mineral foundation, which I do have, that's a little too dry. And I wanted to show that, if you're going to use the powder products by Westman, they will work on dry and dehydrated skin. They actually work quite well. But I think putting on my skin a powder foundation plus powder would be unfair to the powder products by Westman because I think it would look drier on my skin. But with a soft matte foundation, I think it looks absolutely fantastic, really fantastic. And in regards to the complexion, the reason I didn't use the Westman Atelier sticks, foundation sticks, is that I don't have any right now. I did have them in two different shades, N and 05, I think, but they went bad because I'd had them for so long. I got them when they first came out. And so they had turned, so I don't have them at the moment. But I would say the sticks offer a similar look to the Prada Soft Matte. It's like a skin-like look. It's not, kind of like the Merit, a little bit like the Merit sticks. It's one of my more favorite sticks, but it's not nearly as emollient as, like, say, Dior. All right, so the bronzer that I used on this side. The bronzer is the new bronzer drops that they have. And I think the name of this is the, Sun Tone Bronzing Drops Soleil Parfait 1. So I got the lightest shade in this. This I do love. This, when I put it on my skin, you'll see me putting it on, does sink into my skin. It does look really good on me. It's a great shade for me. And I honestly think I'll be using this more either by itself to use as a bronzer on my bare skin, or maybe with the Lisa Eldridge, or maybe with like the Sarah Creel SPF if I want a little bit more bronze. But I think those of you out there who are looking for a bronzy type of product that have drier skin, this is a great choice. I think it works really, really well. The only thing I would say to you is, yes, it is expensive for the amount that you get, but it's easy to travel with. It's plastic, so it's not going to break. And again, high quality ingredients and works for really mature skin, which, you know, is not always easy to find. When you're 25, and when I was 25, I felt the same way. These things weren't as much of a concern. Now, not being 25, they are much bigger concerns to me. And so the high quality ingredients, having something that's emollient but not too emollient, all those things actually factors far more into my decision making about products, and therefore I'm willing to pay a little bit of a higher price point. So the bronzer I used is the Coupe de Soleil. There is a Coupe de Riche, which I also have, and the Coupe de Riche is actually cooler and more reddish, which is what I usually wear for bronzer. But the Soleil is more like the bronzing drop color in the lightest shade. So I decided to do a fair comparison to use this one. I'll be very interested to try the other bronzing drops from Westman, like the number 2 or number 3, to see if they have a cooler look to them. That would be interesting for me to find out. And I will do that as soon as I can try them in store, because I might want to buy like one that's also cooler to use as more of a contour. I especially love to use those types of products like when I'm on a beach or something, or in the winter when my skin is drier, a cream or liquid bronzer actually works quite well. In the summer, I actually end up using more powders because my skin does get a little bit more oily. It's never really oily, but you know, it has more emollients to it. Then when we got to lips, and I'm gonna go to lips instead of face because the face I want to show you some direct comparisons. I went with these. These are like the, I forgot the name, Squeaky Clean, Squeaky something. And this is in Nectar. It's a very light shade, practically non-existent, but I like these products. I think they're very comfortable. They're like a lip oil. There's just not much pigment there, but they're easy to use. Anyone can use them. I think, you know, I do like them. They're, I think, a little pricey for what they are, but again, I mean, they're fine. I think they work well. They fulfill their role. Then on this side, I have her matte lipstick, and I have this in Gevreve. Here's the thing about this product. This is the smoothest product going on. Like, honestly, it is like, as they would say at SNL, it's like butter. It just goes, I mean, literally, look at this. It's so easy to go on. It's absolutely stunning. And it feels like silk. It's beautiful. The problem is there's like a clay in it. And the clay on my lips, because my lips are very dry, when the lipstick dries down, I can feel the clay on my lips. And the problem is I find it irritating and dry. Now, I don't know how to combat that. I have tried using like the Squeaky Clean stuff. I know it's not Squeaky Clean, but that's what comes to mind. And putting that lipstick on top of it. That doesn't really work. I don't, you know, I just, something about the clay is just too drying for me. So I recommend the product because I think it is the most beautiful application of any matte lipstick I've ever seen. But if you have dry lips like mine, I think it's gonna bother you. I think the clay is gonna be annoying. It might not be, but for me, it always has been. So, unfortunately. My eyes. So the shade that I have on my eyes is one of the eye pods. This is in Mink. It has like a shimmer to it. And I put it on both eyes. But this eye I put the foundation on my eyelids to show you. When you put it on with the drops underneath, it starts to separate very quickly, but it looks more liquid. And then on this side, I use the Prada, and you can see it looks more like just eyeshadow. So if you use the drops, I would just be careful because, again, even if you have very dry skin or very dry eyelids, which I do, it's so emollient that it's a liquid. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's gonna separate your products. Mascara, Westman Atelier mascara. That's on both eyelashes, both eyes. And I don't have the Westman eyeliner. I thought I did, but apparently I don't. So I couldn't show that to you guys. I feel like I need to go get it though. Now that I've done this whole face, I'm like, yeah, I need to go pick that up. Okay, so let's get to the complexion. I mean, other than the foundation, let's get to the stuff on my cheeks. All the stuff on my cheeks. We talked about the bronzer, but let's talk about what I'm using as contour and blush and highlighter kind of thing here. Okay, so I didn't want to use a different type of powder highlighter because I don't have a Westman Atelier powder highlighter. I don't think she makes one. Just thinking. I went through her site. I didn't see one. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think she has one. But she does have a bunch of the highlighting sticks. So I used Lit, which is basically translucent. There's really not any color to it on this side. You can see me putting it on. I just put that like right here. You can kind of see that translucent, almost like just shiny nature. You know, I mean, everything on this side shiny, but you get the idea. And then on this side, I used the powder in cream, because on my skin is a little bit more pink, so the yellowness-ish of the cream kind of works as like what a highlighter would be if it had more, you know, pearlescence or something to it. It's just powder on me. But again, I don't have a powder highlighter, so I didn't want to, you know, just use a different brand because it doesn't really work. So I just used the creme here and the Lit here, which basically doesn't have a shade to it. And then on the cheeks, I used the powder duo that I have. Now this is in Coquette and Mimi. And then I pulled out the Petal Shadow that was a limited edition. And so I used on my face the Mimi blush in here as contour, basically. It's like blush contour. You can always use blush as a contour. In the 80s, we all did it. So that, you'll see me putting it on, but I put it here and into here. So more of like a contour shade. And then I used Mimi in the stick form, same exact Mimi, on this side. And I'll show you the difference between the Mimi cream and then the Mimi powder. I think there's definitely a discernible difference, but the undertone is the same. But like the blush stick is definitely pinker, in my opinion. The powder has more of a brown to it. And then as like blush, I used the Petal in the powder form, and I will show you that. And then I used the Petal in the stick form. So they're the same shades, but they do look different if you're using the cream versus using the powder. They are definitely a different look to them. Same undertones, but it's different when you're using a cream versus a powder. And then to use Coquette, which again, I've said a million times, I had in a stick, and I keep saying I'm gonna buy it, and I still haven't. So it's like one of my favorite blush shades, and so I don't have it because it's somewhere. Anyway, what I did is I used the Peste Rose, which is a highlighter from Westman. Although it's in this compact though, it is a cream. It's not a powder like the other ones, but it definitely has more shimmer to it than the Coquette powder blush. But I thought that was okay because I was like, well, at least it'll give you the difference between like the powder products versus a more emollient, shiny product. So here's the Peste Rose, and here's Coquette. They have similarities in color tone, like about the same frequency, but obviously one is much more shimmery. The Peste Rose is, you know, a highlighting product. But again, I just wanted to give you like more of a apples to apples kind of comparison on the face. Now, I don't have her eyeliner, so I can't do that. I don't have her concealer, and I've heard different things about the concealer. Some people love it, some people don't, like everything. But I do want to try her liner, and I feel like I should try the concealer out because I really do overall like the Westman products. But what can I say in regards to the Westman, like overall the powders versus the liquids or creams? One thing you notice is that I did not use Biscuit. Biscuit is a contour stick. And the reason I didn't use this is because I don't have the version in powder. The powder products, the blush duos, the Happy Cheeks, they have powder duos that are blushes, which those are. And then they also have the ones that are contour and blush. So there is one with a biscuit in it on the Westman site. And I haven't picked that up yet. So until I had a way to really, you know, compare biscuit to biscuit, I didn't want to do that, which is why I use Mimi as sort of my contour. But the thing I will say about the shades, and I think you could see it in the swatches, is that although the shades are the same, they're not the same. Like, a cream product is going to translate differently than a powder product. And I feel like they both give you a very elevated, elegant look. They're all Clean Beauty. It's, you know, the same brand. But this is a more glass skin, healthy emollient, maybe even a younger look, depending on who you ask. And this is a more finished look to me. Like, this looks like more, I would say, polished, and this looks maybe more youthful. Again, how you describe a look, it's very personal, but I like them both. I just think they're very different. And I would not use the drops. I just think they're too emollient on me. I would probably use like the Lisa Eldridge and get a dewier look without too much emollients. And the foundation sticks are also very good. Again, the foundation sticks, if you use powder with them, will have more of this look too. The cream products, I think, are going to sink more into your skin and are going to have like a lighter pigment overall when you wear them, especially if you use powder. And what do I mean by that? So I'm going to take the cream, this is the powder, and I'm going to use it just as almost like a setting powder, a finishing powder, if you will. And I'm going to show you what happens to this side once you put some powder over it. Because at the moment, it looks like very pigmented because the shades are all standing out because the oils in my skin are like coming to the surface. But if you powder it, which most people who have an oilier or frankly normal skin do, and even I powder my skin because some of the oils break through. Do you see that actually you get a very similar look side to side using cream here, all powder here? The difference is, I think this still looks a little bit more, quote, polished, regular makeup look. And this still looks a little bit younger, a little bit plumper, a little bit more youthful. Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't look youthful. I'm just saying I'm trying to discern like what the difference really is. And the powder that Westman has, the creme and the pink bubble, I think are really, really good. I love the pink bubble. I use it a lot, and I used it under my eye here. I'll use it on the other side as well. But I think, if you are somebody who likes cream products, but you want a more, quote, finished look, I would use all cream products and then just use like the Westman powder or another powder if you want to finish it off. And then this side, you're going to be using powder products the whole entire time. You might not need or want the powder over it at the end. So again, but you can use both to achieve a very similar look. The difference, I really think, more than anything, is based on your skin type. I think if you have very, very dry skin, like dehydrated dry, I think the cream products and the sticks are your way to go. That's just me. Like that's how I am in the winter, for example. I really love, it's one of the reasons I loved the Westman sticks from the beginning. In the summer, I actually prefer powders more because my skin is a little bit more oily and I like the powder kind of soaking it up a little bit, interestingly enough. But if I'm on a beach or something, I love a cream product because, it just sort of fits the vibe more. So I think your skin type will determine, for a large part, like which one you gravitate towards. But I do think they give a little bit of a different look. I don't think it's drastic. I think there's a difference though. Like if you look at my cheeks, like I think this side does look a little different than this side, especially when I hadn't put any powder on here. I think there was much more of like that, you know, what I would say is the more modern take on a makeup look, a dewy makeup look, maybe even a euphoria kind of thing, where the makeup is a little bit more, not messy, that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's not as specific, like it's not as contoured maybe, you know? So I like them both. I don't think that you can really go wrong with either side. I am going to pick up the powder products, the duos, the baby cheeks products from Westman because I really like them. And I really like having a powder alternative for, frankly, for me when my skin is feeling oilier, or just that I want a kind of, I don't know, like it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more enhanced. The powder products are a little bit more pigmented on the skin because the cream products do sink into the skin a little bit more, at least for me, because my skin's so dry. So it does eat a little bit of the pigment, a little bit of the color. This will stay more true to pigment than the creams will. That's not true for everybody, but for a lot of people, the cream sort of sinks in, so you eat some pigment. Some people's skin, I have seen completely eat a cream blush. And I say eat because it's the best way to describe the fact that it completely fades, like it's gone. A way to combat that, by the way, is to put the powder down first and then put the cream on top of it. That does help. But some people just, their skin just doesn't do well with creams. It does happen. So again, you know, it might be your skin type is just better suited for the powders or vice versa for the creams. I like them both. I'm very lucky at this point in my life that my skin is, quote, sort of normal. I mean, it does lean towards dry, but like the powders and the creams both work equally well on me. So I love them both. The only products by Westman haven't worked for me are the drops, which aren't bad. They're just too emollient for me. And I would always feel like I had a powder, which I think negates the point of the drops, in my opinion. The matte blush, because I can feel the clay in it. I think it's just because my lips are super dry. Like even when the rest of my skin is a little bit more emollient, my lips are like the Sahara Desert. I think for most people it'll be fine. And the way it goes on, the application, it's the smoothest matte you'll ever use, I promise. Like that part's true. The only product that I just like hated from Westman was this, which I keep because it's the worst product ever. And I know some people like this, so I'm not trying to be like, you know, rude, but Lila Nudes one just does not work for me. I just do not like that product. It just makes me look ill. Anyway, so overall, like I said, I really love Westman. I think Westman does a great job with their products. I think the quality of the products are extremely good. Yes, they are pricey. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I mean, a lot of times you're paying a lot of money for a small amount of quantity. You know, there's not a lot in these compacts or in these things. But I still haven't made it through an entire product. Like, I've had the blush sticks for a while. I've had the highlighting Pesh products for a while. I've had the bronzers for a while. I still haven't made it through an entire one of anything. So I gotta say, the products go a long way. But the price point, yeah, it is high. You know, that comes down to quality ingredients, packaging, the name. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that are involved in that. But I will say this. I will say the products are always good. There are some that I don't like that don't work for me, but I've heard they work for other people. I think the fact that if you're looking for clean beauty and an elevated, so soft, everyday look, Westman is a really good brand to take a look at. So those are my thoughts. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether you've picked up the new powder products, if you prefer the cream products, what you feel the difference is. I think now that I've got the powder on both sides, I think it's hard to tell. In the beginning, it's easy to tell, but now I think it's harder to tell what side is which. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you in another video really soon.